Hey everyone, I am super excited that Danya has joined us today, and I've been following her on Facebook, and last December I participated in her Supercharged 2022 workshop, which was amazing. Now Danya Douglas Hunt is a former Olympic athletic therapist and strength and conditioning coach turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, and her main focus is helping high-performance entrepreneurs master the inner game, build mental and emotional fortitude, and slay the invisible dragons, which are self-sabotage, limiting beliefs, and the list goes on. She's also a certified neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, a life and success coach, time techniques practitioner, clinical hypnotherapist, and an emotional freedom techniques facilitator. And Danya's also been featured on multiple platforms such as MSNBC, NBC, CBS, in various publications and every podcast platform. Now, when she's not coaching, she loves to adventure outside on a beach or in the mountains with her tea and her big dog named Tabata,
very close.
Tabata.
It's a awesome workout. So if we're in the fitness space, people will get it.
Awesome. I've seen your dog on Instagram. Anyway, some people might ask, why did I invite you on this program when your focus is high performance entrepreneurs? Well, it's a great question. And in my mind, everyone needs transformation, whether it's personal or professional. And a lot of people that are watching this might be here for personal reasons, but you know what? It all kind of crosses over. So I think it's very, very applicable, right? So anyway, that's why. And I'm absolutely amazed at you, Danya. And I hope you don't mind me saying, and I mean this in all sincerity and as a compliment, but for someone so young, I found your insight into mindset mastery far beyond your years. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So kudos. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And now your topic, which is invisible dragons, I can't wait to dive into that, because these are the things that are holding people back, whether it's in business or in our personal lives.
Yeah.
Whether it's you need to lose some weight, right? You've got some other personal issues in your physical body or mentally, things that are holding you back. We need to get over those things. And so slaying invisible dragons, I think, is very applicable to what we need to talk about and address today. So Tell me more about that. What does that mean?
Yeah, and I'll give some, well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll give some context too. So the reason I call them invisible dragons is research shows, psychology shows that when we can disassociate ourselves from thinking it's you and this is who we are and how we think, when we can create a bit of space, it enables us to see something differently and have the space to create change. So I think everyone can think of or imagine an invisible dragon, right? And when we can see the invisible dragons like self-doubt or fear or just something is not us and who we are, but rather it's a part of us, but it's not us, it helps lessen the intensity and the hold of some of our thoughts that can seem very real and very heavy and very scary. So the whole reason I came up with the invisible dragons was just to help create some space and awareness. And really, I'll ask you, Daryl, and everyone who's watching here too, when we really think about creating change, and I like how you said, like, it doesn't matter who you are, what your goal is, we're always going to come up against these invisible dragons, right? Of self-doubt, of fear, of imposter syndrome, of, can I really do this? Do I have what it takes? I have a fear of failure, or you try something and it doesn't work out and you're like, see, I can't do this. We're all going to come up against this. And it doesn't matter if you're in the health space, the business space, any industry, you're going to be battling your mind. And your mindset, no matter what strategy you use, again, in any industry, your mindset is what's going to either make you and take you forward or be the thing that holds you back. So the reason I got so into mindset was I just kept seeing so many smart entrepreneurs, so many smart people and capable people who have huge hearts wanting to help anyone not do it simply because of their thoughts. And if we think about it, like, our thoughts are invisible. They're not a real thing. And so when we can personify it or turn it into a metaphor of like it's this dragon, it helps us again create space of like, something that feels very real
Yeah.
is literally not, it's invisible. It's not there, but it's the thing that's holding you back from your next level, from achieving your goal, from possibilities,
Right.
income, impact.
Right.
And that's why I'm so into this space, because when I was in the athletic space, working with Olympic athletes, everyone at that level, Daryl, has the best, for the most part, the best nutrition, the best, they have a whole team. I was doing the injuries, their strength conditioning, psychology, they had everything. When they're on that line competing, either to make an Olympic team or to compete at the Olympics,
Yeah.
the one thing that truly separates them from everyone else, like that 10th, everyone's the top 1% fitness, is their mindset. How well can you manage your mind around the pressures? How well can you bounce back from injury? How well can you trust yourself? It is managing all these invisible dragons to keep you moving forward.
Right.
So
we've all got them, right? I mean, I look at myself and I go, okay, I operate a charity for over a decade that's doing very well. We've got amazing international partners like International Committee of Red Cross, Coca-Cola Foundation, Philippines, and the list goes on.
Yeah.
And here I am. I just turned 60. And because we're in lockdown in the pandemic, I can't get to our projects. So I decided, I'm going to write a book about my experience because I lost 200 pounds, right? And then in that process, I go, okay, maybe I should get my coaching certification. And I'm going, who am I? Imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
And then as I go through the process, I realize, hey, I've actually been coaching for probably 2 decades. Just didn't realize it. And even now, with what we're doing right now.
Totally.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I've got experience. I mean, not a whole lot of people have lost 200 pounds. And I've got life experience. And so I have to get outside of myself because sometimes my reality isn't reality.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people get stuck, right?
Yeah. And for most of us, it's not. And I love where you went with this a bit too, because it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your goals are. It doesn't matter what level of success you've achieved. Those who you see who have had success, all they've done is been able to manage those invisible dragons better. They all feel them. They all think the same things. They all have the same fears. The only difference is they have been able to, what I say, slay and train them and move through them instead of allowing those thoughts to hold them back, right? Because look at this incredible summit you've put on. Had you listened to your invisible dragons of who am I to coach and not like what you've organized, had you not done that, how many lives wouldn't have been transformed simply because you allowed the self-doubt or the fear or imposter syndrome to hold you grounded?
Right.
And don't get me wrong, the thoughts feel very, very real. It's very real. And what I also love about what you've put on together is a sense of community. Because when you realize you're not the only one thinking those things and feeling those things, and it's not just you in your own world, it's like this weight gets lifted.
Yeah.
How many entrepreneurs have said to me, what is wrong with me? Nothing. Everyone thinks those thoughts. And they're like, oh my God, it's like they can breathe again. But when we're just in our own bubble, our own space, we lose perspective because we get in our head. Right. And it's like we're the only ones dealing with this problem. Again, whatever your goal is, someone out there is dealing with it or has it worse off or has thought that. Also, though, they've made it through it. And when you surround yourself with other like-minded people, you recognize, oh, it's not just me having these thoughts. It's everyone has them, no matter what goal, what level of success is happening, right? And it almost not gives you permission, but kind of in a way of like, oh, if you can do it, I can do it. Yeah, oh, you've had this thought and you got through it. No problem. I can do it too.
Brings up a thought because you had mentioned earlier that these elite athletes that you worked with, they're only good at what they do because of the team around them. They have a team of people. But even in spite of having a team, support is what we'll call it.
Yeah.
Still, those that can slay the dragon rise to the top.
Totally. Yep.
I find that super intriguing because, you know, we're all about support. And that's what this summit is really about, mindset and support, because we need that support system. But we can still, it sounds like we can still have a support system. But if we don't start working on slaying the dragons in our mind, we're going to wander around still with self-doubt and all these other things, right?
Yeah.
So how do we start slaying these dragons?
Yeah, I love this. And I want to touch on something real brief what you just said is when you have people around you, your environment can make or break you. So like, let's take, this is a health and fitness summit, right? We're talking about being healthier. when you can place yourself in the environment where other people share similar values or similar goals or aspirations, you're way more likely to embody that identity and move forward in your goals versus you being by yourself. So let's take two scenarios real quick. One is a community where they value health, they value working out, they value learning, exploring. The other community, and neither of them are right or wrong. But as a person, you're like, how do I set myself up for success? What are my goals? Where do I want to go? Who's already doing it? So there's one that's already really involved in health, and the other community that doesn't really care about health, likes to watch Netflix, likes sleep in, maybe smokes, whatever. Again, neither are right or wrong. But if you place yourself in the environment where everyone doesn't really care about the same values or going where you're going, you are eventually going to succumb to your environment.
Right.
And this is in business, health, it doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
So when you place yourself in an environment, in a community like you've created, of people are talking about this and, you know, they're working towards similar goals, the conversations around the same thing, not only does it make the invisible dragons you're dealing with way easier to move forward with, but the likelihood of you reaching your goals is so much easier and faster versus doing it alone or in a community that doesn't get it.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I wanted to point that out because it's so crucial. You see people who are successful, they're not doing it alone. That Olympic athlete, yes, they still have to do the work. Yes, they still have to master their mind and their dragons, but they still have a community of support. So that way, if they get injured or if they fall down or if they're doubting themselves, they have people there to help pick them up. Because there's sometimes you can't, even me, I have my coach. There's sometimes I get in my self-doubt or in my own stuff, and you need someone else's perspective or like, hey, okay, cool, let's go. Get up. You got this.
Yeah.
It's
in
so
the coaching world, they say, if as a coach, if you don't have a coach, then you're not much of a coach.
Yeah, and it's so true. Because back to this point, Daryl, how do you Google what you don't know how to Google? Like, how do you see your own blind spots?
Yeah.
And so if we put it in a fun metaphor, if I'm walking around with broccoli in my teeth, unless someone points out that I have broccoli in my teeth, or unless I have a mirror, I'm going to walk around with broccoli in my teeth.
Yeah.
That's what a coach does. A coach helps you see a different perspective and point out blind spots you can't see.
Yeah.
And you need that outside perspective to help see things differently.
And you know what? I think this is where it's super valuable to have that support group outside of your family. And the reason why I say this, hey, I love my family.
And they love you too.
And they love me too. But here's the thing. Sometimes they cannot be brutally honest with me because of the potential backlash they will get from me.
Yes.
So, you know, nobody wants to walk around on eggshells. But if you've got a coach or a good support group, that it doesn't really matter, but they still want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
So they don't really have an agenda.
Yeah.
Their agenda is really, hey, I'm going to support you. If you fall, let's get up again. We can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love where you went with that too. Your goals, when you step into owning stuff, your friends and family love you, but you're right. They won't be brutally honest with you. Or even if they are, you're going to take it differently because you have a relationship with them.
Yes.
What also can happen though is when we're on, especially in these massive like transformations, like stepping out and building your business or taking over your health, that your goals can evoke other people's invisible dragons and other people's self-doubt and other people's worries.
Yeah.
And what they will say to you can be out of love because they want to protect you and keep you safe, but it's not going to help you when you're already kind of in this like, oh, I'm making this life change. Having other people's doubts or fears or them seeing you do something that they secretly want to do, but they're not willing to do the work, that's going to just come out and again, ends up self-sabotaging. So having people in your corner who support you and help you be accountable and call you on your BS and are going to give you some tough love that's unbiased is huge. And everyone needs, whether it's a coach, a community, a mastermind, it doesn't matter what it is, something separate from your friends and family. Because everything that comes from them is through a lens of protection and love. Yeah. And hey, sometimes we do things that can seem really scary to other people because maybe they don't experience it, they don't know it. And it's gonna end up holding you back, which a lot of us don't actually recognize. So,
well, you know, there's a statistic out there that says 2% succeed, 98% fail. And that's very true in the dieting world. Now, I would personally say it's not about the diet failing you at all. For me, it doesn't really matter what choice you make. You're failing yourself. I mean, let's get real, right? So many people make so many different excuses. Well, I can't do this because of this or this or this. They almost have tunnel vision in that they can't even see everything that's out there. I like your analogy of, they got broccoli in their teeth, but they have no idea.
Yeah.
Right. And so the community or the coach is the person that can get in your corner and say, Danya, you got some, in your teeth, I
make funny faces. This is how I coach. Yeah.
Exactly. No,
It's
I
so
love
true.
it. I love it.
And the thing too about, I know we can talk for hours, I feel like, but something that's really important too is so let's go down the rabbit hole of invisible dragons. Most of us think it's the how-to. Most of us think it's like the next strategy. Oh, it's not this diet, it's that diet. Oh, it's not this workout plan, it's that workout plan. Or not this business strategy, it's something else. Success in anything is about consistency and staying in the game.
Right.
But most of us cut ourselves off too short before we even get a chance to see what that consistency has done. And we think, oh no, this diet didn't work, so I'm gonna switch to this one. Before it's even had time to really work through. Or like give yourself a chance for your body to adjust. Yeah. Same thing in business. Like you have to go through a couple launches for you to actually really understand, like, does this strategy work? But most of us are so hyper focused on the next shiny object syndrome, the next strategy, the next fad.
Right. Yeah.
It's like they all work. Yeah. They all work. Where we get tripped up on, and sure, we might have special things where we have diet cases and we need to learn about this stuff. But as long as we stay in the game and we're taking action and being consistent, you will have that clarity come through. But most of us are just jumping ship so fast because we think it's like, oh, this. When really you just need to stick with something. Right. Stick with something consistently and realize that it's mainly the mindset of how you're approaching something, whether it's going to make it be successful or not. But every how-to can work for someone because you can find evidence for someone who's had success in any domain. Yeah. Where we trip ourselves up is we start going into self-doubt or worry or our own stuff and we're not consistent and we're not. Yeah. We start asking ourselves, well, I would ask people, like, what's actually preventing you from moving forward or just doing what you know you need to do? Right. Daryl, I'm sure you can relate to this too. We actually all know what to do for the most part. Right. You might need some finesse and clarity, but we all, being healthy, okay, we know we need to eat healthy foods. We know we need to move our body a little bit. It's pretty, like, the how-to is actually quite simple and we can Google any how-to. Yeah. It's the what's preventing me from actually doing the how-to and sticking with it. Yeah. That's what gets a lot of people. And that's the mindset. That's the invisible dragons. Yeah. So is there a top 3 invisible dragons? Overall? I mean, everybody's different. Yep. But would there be a list of, let's say, 3 top ones that you find that stump a lot of people and keep them stuck? Yeah. And even these chunk up. So like, let's say, especially in the business space or whatever, it'd be like imposter syndrome. Right. But even that, we can break it down. What is imposter syndrome? Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of what other people are going to think of you, fear of comparison. So we can chunk them up, but they all can break down. And especially depending on who you are, how it shows up for you when you've first experienced it. Yeah. Self-doubt is a massive one. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, can I do this? Am I capable of doing this? And that can even be chunked up into imposter syndrome a little bit. So self-doubt is a huge one. And then I don't know if you're familiar with Marissa Peer's work. She's like a world-renowned psychologist. But a lot of it comes down to our own self-worth and feeling enough. Right. And she has done interviews and interviews with like every person under the sun, like high-level execs, Olympic athletes, and addictions, all these things. And she can boil them down to main ones around self-worth. The sneaky thing is, though, you don't walk around being like, I'm not worthy. Like, we don't walk around saying that, but based on our behaviors and our actions, that's an indication of where do we actually really feel about ourselves. Right. So the invisible dragons are sneaky, but really the first step we want to get clear is having the awareness of, okay, in my day, in my life, in my workout, in my business, where am I feeling a lot of resistance? What is feeling really hard? What am I saying that like I can't do something or I should or I have to? When we start to get awareness of our language and what's really feeling like, you start recognizing patterns within yourself, you then can start peeling back of like, what's preventing me? What am I making this mean? And you just start asking questions. And obviously you can work with someone or in a community or start to just gain self-awareness with books of really like what's at the root of this behavior or this action or this doubt or this fear. Right. And a simple question you ask yourself is like, what am I afraid is going to happen?
Yeah.
So when we went through, I renamed it to Amplifier, but so many people don't set goals, Daryl, because they're afraid of what it makes it mean about them if they don't hit that goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not about
And this
the
is
goal.
why a lot of people don't announce when they're going to diet, because what if I fail? It's just another diet they try.
What are people going to think? What if I don't make it?
Yeah.
It's going to feed this other deep-rooted fear belief of like, I can't do it. I'm a failure. Like, it just starts feeding these subconscious loops that we have on autopilot. But it's really the awareness of looking at what you're doing day to day and what is hard, or what am I afraid of happening if I, don't achieve this or do achieve this. And that's when you can start really uncovering like, okay, what are the subconscious patterns going on right now? Like, what are the thoughts? And I don't know where you want to take this. We can go different ways, but your subconscious mind is what runs 95% of what you do and don't do.
Right.
Everything is run and done from the subconscious mind. And to give you some context, like, do you have to think about your heart beating right now?
No.
Do you have to think about how to drive a car anymore?
No.
If you drive a car, right? Do you have to think about how to move your hand and your fingers, or does it just happen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the subconscious mind plays a really massive role, and it's super important. However, most of what happens from the subconscious mind was programmed from a younger age or through lived experience.
Right.
And it's through our subconscious mind that literally runs and is responsible for everything you think or everything you do. But most of us are just trying to use our conscious mind, which is our 5% mind, to try and like willpower our way through these goals, when really we've got these deep-rooted beliefs, values, identities that are running the show on autopilot.
Yeah.
And until we uncover those, you're always going to default back to those patterns and those thoughts and those beliefs. And this is what the work I do is so much fun. It's like, sure, the fear of judgment might be there, but what's the actual root cause and what's actually underneath that's driving this automatic program that is now running the show?
Yeah. Oh man, this is so good. We're at the end of our session already.
I know.
I can't believe it. Yeah, you've got so much to unpack, and I wish we had a lot more time. But I know we'll talk a little bit more another time. So thank you for being part of this. And someone at the summit here is going to get a free gift from you. And what does that look like? What is that?
Are we talking about the Amplify Your Goals or the perfect day, the opt-in? I forget. We're doing both. We're doing both. So there is I created a freebie. It's a really simple, powerful visualization.
Okay.
It's called Your Perfect Day. Don't write it off before you hear that. You will be surprised at the clarity and the awareness you get from when you start asking yourself questions. And this is the fun thing. Your subconscious mind has to answer questions. So when you give yourself the space to ask yourself questions, your brain has to start finding answers for you.
Right.
So this is a very simple 10-minute visualization, which is going to give you clarity of, are you actually creating your life with intention? Are you doing what you want to do? Or is there things that are going to come up for you that you're like, oh, I didn't think about? Or are you kind of on autopilot, just kind of going through the motions?
Right.
And Daryl, most of us are just going through the motions, and then we're
totally
unhappy. You're like, but I want change. Well, unless we start uncovering, get awareness of what we want and what that actually means to us, you're always just going to be on autopilot. So it's a simple, very powerful 10-minute visualization you can do anytime, and will give you a ton of clarity of like, what do you want? What does come up for you? What's going to surprise you? So that's the freebie opt-in that we've talked about.
Okay, so that's the freebie that everyone that attends the summit can get. Okay. But one person is going to get access to
the Amplify Your Goals. So the thing that you've experienced that we've redone and we put into now mini course. I'm happy to give that to someone. And that's really going to help teach you a little bit about your brain, how it works, why things happen, really help you get clarity on maybe why you haven't hit goals in the past, and how to really set yourself up for success moving forward. I've really had to set goals in any domain. But that's something that's, again, a lot of people don't know how to set goals.
And it's life-changing. I mean, when I attended that webinar that you did last December, and then of course you gave me access to that, I'm like, wow, I've got to connect with Danya, because you've got so much content there that's really going to change people's lives. So, folks, you're going to want to sign up for that. Well, actually, you
I'm
can't
happy.
sign up for that. You could take that. Probably she offers that to
Yep.
people who want to. But hey, somebody is going to get that for free, which is absolutely amazing. And
So
you're going to
fun.
get that free resources as well. So
Yeah.
listen, Danya, it's been a pleasure having you on. Let's stay connected, absolutely, because moving forward, I'm going to be doing video podcasting where we can
Nice.
spend a lot more time on, really getting into the weeds about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been a pleasure. Thank you once again. And thank you, everyone, for spending your time with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.